Follow facility instructions.
Welcome to Married Lifers, everyone. Tonight we're talking about fighting. Go ahead, babe. Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think so. I'm confused, but yeah.
Hey, nephew. So tonight we're going to be talking about fighting on both ends and how we feel about that. We're also going to have a special guest, Alicia. She's going to be jumping on with us here in a few minutes. Do you want to start talking about it, or you going to say something?
We're talking to me?
Yes, we're live.
Oh, I don't know. Well, it's something new to me, so what's up? Address it.
So we're just talking about arguments and fights and how we handle them and how we resolve them and what to do when you can't resolve them. Right now, me and my husband are at a standstill because we're having a fight. About what?
Huh?
What are we fighting about?
I don't know. You're the one addressing it. Let's address it. Tell them what are we fighting about? Why are we fighting? What's the fight about? Who started the fight?
You did.
Hello?
I said you did.
Okay, I started the fight. How did I start the fight?
I started the fight. I started the fight today because
That don't make no sense. So are you lying to your viewers, or are you telling
Yeah,
the
I'm
truth?
lying. I'm lying.
Let's discuss this. Are you lying? I mean, what's going on there?
Let's address it.
What's the topic? I'm confused. You're confusing me now.
So the topic is fighting, is having fights,
Okay.
and how to resolve them, or what do you do when you're at a standstill?
Okay.
So I did start the fight today, and it just keeps dragging because nobody wants to admit when they're wrong. And this is the frustrating part about fighting when you're with somebody that's incarcerated, right? Because you have to fight over the phone and you have these 20-minute calls and you don't get no resolution because you're not in each other's faces, I think. But if we're going to be honest about it, I did start the fight today. I was mad because he didn't call me like he normally calls me. And I'm sitting there thinking like maybe he had a visit, because the last time I talked to him was at noon. The last time you can show up for a visit is at 1. And then I'm like, he's not calling. But after we have visits, he calls me about 3:45, 3:50. And sure enough, he calls me at 3:48. So I'm already in full crazy mode, pissed off. So then the fight just keeps getting worse from there. Would you agree with that, or?
Yeah. I tried to end it. You said no.
Okay. So I might be wrong, but to me, there has to be a resolution to a fight. I don't like to just pretend like everything's okay. You know what I mean? Obviously, I was upset. Obviously, I upset him. And to just be like, okay, I don't want to fight. Let's just end it. To me, that's sweeping it under the rug. Like there's no resolution to it. And I don't do well with that.
All right. And for said I was done with it, I was done. There's no reason to continue to pick a scab and keep the beef going. One, I said I didn't do nothing. Her accusations or her illusions or whatever the problem is wasn't so. It's done. Boom. That's a wrap. Okay. I was playing dominoes. I didn't call you. I didn't meet the quota. My bad. That's it. I'm done. Now you want to keep going on and on. Then you're yelling at me. You're cussing. You getting all aggressive and crazy. And for what? I said I was done. Leave it alone. But if you want to go there, I hate to fight. I'm a very toxic person. If you want to go there, then I'll stab you and I'll twist the knife. Don't take me there. Don't take me there. But if you want to take me there, I'm going to give you what you're looking for. So I say, let's leave it alone. She don't want to leave it alone. I'm not saying I'm right, but I know what I'm capable of. So don't take me there. And I ask you not to take me there. And I tell you not to take me there. I say it over and over and over again. That you take me there.
So this is my thing. Is like, because you don't like it or because you feel like you go a certain way, I'm not allowed to say how I feel. If I'm upset, it's a problem. Because you don't like it, because you can get toxic. That's not good either. Like, you can't just say, oh, that's the way I am, so fuck it. Either love it or leave it. Like, that doesn't make you right. I need some kind of resolution to it. And I was in the wrong.
Why is there gotta be a right and wrong? I said what I did and what I didn't do. Okay, boom. Now let's move forward. What's there to keep digging at? What's there to keep digging at? I didn't meet the quota. My bad.
Quit saying a quota.
I was playing dominoes. My bad.
Quit saying a quota.
My bad.
Letty said, every day is a new day. It make time to come up with a resolution. I always have to work so that I can get my mind off the issue. I get that too. And I get where I'm wrong, because I have the bad habit of, when I get mad and get in my feelings, it's hard for me to get out of my feelings or to just stop and think, you know what I mean? To stop and give myself some time to breathe. I think what our issue is with this fight, it's not just this fight. It's still a continuance of last night. But this is why I try to tell you, like, this is why I try to tell you, I need like resolutions. Like, I don't like feeling like.
What happened last night?
What did we fight about last night?
I don't know. I'm confused.
What was how did we end our calls last night? It wasn't in a good way. I know you know that.
I don't know. Remind me.
So I think, I don't want to get on here and keep arguing with you. It's not good. And this is why I try to tell you too, nephew, like, we do get on here and everything always seems like it's perfect with me and my husband. It definitely isn't. We have our issues. We fight. Usually we can talk about things and resolve them, even if it's the next day, like we did this morning. So you don't remember nothing that happened last night or this morning?
Hold on. So you just told everybody that this is also part of a continuation for something last night, but you say we resolved it this morning, so that don't even make no sense. So then obviously it's not resolved if you're using something from yesterday that's supposedly resolved in the morning and to add it to the fuel of your fire for something else that you want to fight about. I don't even understand. That don't even make no sense. So why have a resolution or try to fix something if it really ain't fixed, because you're just going to use it as fuel to the fire for your next fight? That don't even make no sense.
My nephew said literally going through similar stuff right now. So your aunt said, do we need Dr. Phil? My nephew said it's literally no different than an outside marriage. I relate to him like not even wanting to deal with her bad mood. It does no good to me, and I relate to that. I feed off her anger.
Yeah, that's how I get. And then, and I say I don't want to go there because I know how I get. And I get what she says. Well, just because I get a certain way that we don't resolve. And that's not the thing. I do not want to fight. Don't take me there. The fight, I can understand if I did something wrong. Okay, but I'm being accused of doing something wrong because I was playing dominoes with the fellas. My bad. I wasn't getting high. I didn't kill nobody. I didn't assault nobody. I didn't commit no gang activity. I didn't do nothing wrong but play dominoes with the fellas. And I got yelled at because I didn't meet the quota of 50 calls instead of 10 calls. My bad. You know what I mean? My bad. That's what it is. That's what it boils down to. And I'm such a liar in this relationship that when I swear on the life of my daughter's life that I didn't do nothing wrong, it still poke me and poke me and poke me and poke me. And I'm wrong because I'm such a liar. I lie so damn much in this relationship, I'm a liar that my word doesn't mean nothing. That's what I get tired of. That's what bothers me. That's what gets me to that point. And then when you start yelling at me and cussing at me, trying to come at me all aggressive and disrespectful, I'm supposed to just be like, okay, it's okay. No, you took me there, and I don't want to be there. And then now you say to everybody else, oh, this is probably a rollover from something that happened last night. I thought we just resolved that. So that don't even make no sense. So what's the purpose of trying to resolve something? We need resolution for me to move on. Obviously not, because you had resolution and you didn't move on. And maybe I'm wrong, and I'll take responsibility if I'm wrong. But don't take me there. That's all I ask. Don't take me there.
So I can't ask you any questions, and I can't get upset because it's going to take you there.
You can ask your questions, and if I answer the question, and you don't like the answer, when they give you the answer, so I can tell you whatever the answer you want.
I hate when you do that. Like, you always twist things up to try to make yourself sound right, and you're not. That's what I was talking about earlier. Like, I get that I upset you, but it's not okay, and it's not an excuse to go as far as you take it and then be like, you know how I am, and it's okay for you to go so fucking far with everything. But I'm not allowed to get upset. I'm not allowed to say anything because then I got to step on eggshells because my husband will take it too far.
But what are we going there for in the first place?
Because it's okay for you to ask me stuff. It's okay for you to get upset.
I give you 50 calls. I only gave you 10 calls. My bad.
Stop saying that. Stop saying that. Because the whole thing with that is when you're not busy, when you're not doing nothing, and I'm your whole life, you're on the phone with me constantly. But it's the minute you have something better to do, then you start with this shit that, oh, I got to meet the quota. Oh, it's this and it's that. I can't just hang out with the fellas. You act like you're so perfect all the time, and you're definitely not. And I hate having this having to be an episode.
But how many times do I hang out with the fellas like that?
Okay, cool. We'll say that.
How many times do I hang out with the fellas like that?
And how many times do I hang out with anybody?
All my time. I give you all my time.
As I give you all mine.
I take 5 little minutes to hang out with the fellas, playing a little boneyard. That's it. And I'm the bad guy. My bad.
You're ridiculous, dude, because you don't see the times that I go to do something and you get upset. Like, you don't see that. Like, it's okay for me to be your whole life when there's nothing else going on. But as soon as you have something else going on, then it's fuck me. And you don't see that. And then you want to play like victim to it. Like, oh, I'm so crazy because I need a quota. No, sir. That's not fair. But you don't see that. And you don't see how.
Your homegirls and go to the club or bar or whatever you guys do.
When was the last time?
It doesn't matter. But do you get to have time with your friends?
But I ask you.
When you have time with your friends?
I ask you. I've never just went and hung out with somebody and just didn't say shit to you till after the fact.
With you hanging out with your friends?
No. But again, you're twisting it up because did you say, babe, I'm going to be hanging out with my friends for a while? No, you didn't say none of that. I'll call you back. And then all of a sudden you dip out for hours. But if I did that, no. If I did that, it would be World War III. But you don't see that because you only see from your side. That's what I'm talking about. Like you only see it from your side. You refuse to see it from my side. And that's not fair. So Rachel said, let's do a cooking show, bust out the ramens. Stella said, can I say that with the new phone system, that the lines in there are so different now, sometimes they can't control when and how much they call. I get that part. So I know that now. Like me and my husband used to talk late, and now we can't because it seems like no matter what facility they're in, around the 8 o'clock, maybe a little bit before, a little bit after, around 8 o'clock, these phones absolutely suck. From my end, I can hear my husband perfect. From his end, he's saying that it's breaking up. And he's not the only one complaining because it's all over the groups. Oh, Alicia. Shit, I think she was trying to get in. So we have Alicia getting on with us today. Sorry, I was trying to text her back because, see, hold on. It says guest. Okay, I have to add her. Hey, Alicia, your microphone's off. Okay. So her sound, she's having problems with her sound. She's going to jump back on. But, like you guys are getting to hear my mess right now. Alicia.
I don't know if you could hear me, but my sound isn't working. So I'm going to leave again and try and rejoin because I can't hear anything at all.
I can hear her.
I could hear her too. I just said that, but she couldn't hear us. So anyways, these aren't like, I don't want to be doing episodes like this, but this is the reality of what we're doing. And in all honesty, it's the reality in any relationship.
It's called Mary's Live verse.
I know, smarty pants. But it's not fun. Nobody wants to put their bullshit out there. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to put their insecurities out there. I'll admit I was being crazy earlier. Like when I get in my feelings, like I said, it's hard for me to get out. And sometimes I take shit too far. But I do not take it as far as my husband takes it. And that drives me insane because it's not fair. And he always wants to chuck it up to, this is who I am. Like, try to do better. Be better.
Ditto.
Okay?
Takes two to tango.
Letty said, sometimes one person feels a different way about the subject. I try my best to reflect on positive as there's always someone that has it worse. We definitely have an alpha personality. I think that's mine and my husband's problem as well. Like we both have alpha personalities. Like he has to be number one and I have to be. So we bump heads when it comes to that. Because he won't back down and I won't back down. I think that's a toxic trait we both have. Because at some point, like you have to compromise in a relationship or the shit's not going to work. And that's on both sides. That's not just saying on one person. Can you hear us, Alicia?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. So we're just in the midst of talking about our
Thank
Our-
you for using Securus.
current
Goodbye.
fight, which you know about. We talked about it before this all started.
Yeah. Yeah, I just caught the last thing you said about compromising stuff and not always. I mean, it's hard because I can honestly say, like, my husband and I struggle with that too. Because we really just want our point to get across, to get understood, to then find a conclusion. Like, it's with good intention, but sometimes I guess we just have to let it go, even if that's part of compromise, I guess. Even if it's not being understood.
And that's where I struggle with, because I can't. Like, he wants to be able to just say, all right, I'm done. I don't want to argue about this no more. But I feel like I'm not being heard, like if I'm being ignored, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, I should just be quiet. Like, no. Because if he felt some type of way, it wouldn't be that way. You know what I mean? Like, he would be heard and make sure I understood his point. Then we can move on.
Yeah. Standard is it has to be a two-way street. That's what is important.
Like, what? I don't know. He hung up, or the systems like to hang up too. So lately with this new system, it says
Yeah.
there's a technical issue and it hangs up. So it's like, what? Like, you
Yeah.
get through to us just to tell us that there's a technical issue? Like, that don't make any sense, but okay.
Yeah. This new system is very frustrating.
So I think my problem is too, is like, sometimes it's probably good to have space when you're in those kind of arguments, when you're that upset, you know what I mean? But for me, I always feel like the longer you leave me alone, the worse it gets for me. You know what I
Because
mean?
it just festers there. Yeah, it goes unaddressed and you're just sitting there thinking about it the whole time. It's not space for the better. I laugh because I'm the same way. And I've really had to learn. Like, think of it as a breather, not avoidance or being ignored. But you guys
Yes.
have to set that precedence first, though. Because if he just does it without talking to you about it, like, yeah, it is ignoring. Like, you guys have to set that rule, I guess, or not even a rule, but yeah.
Yeah, to say that. That's why I told him, like, sometimes when I'm trying to be serious and he wants to joke, like, I get upset because I'm like, I'm being serious. Like, this isn't a joke. You know what I mean? And we have to say that in order to
Yeah.
and not joke. I hate this stupid new system, man.
Did it do it again? Or is it working?
Did you hang up or did it hang up on you? Because it went all the way through and I accepted the call and then it said the caller has hung up.
Oh no, what? You talking about the first one?
Just now, the one before this one.
Oh no, it ended. It said 1 minute.
No, then you just called me a minute ago and it went all the way through. And then it said, as soon as it went to connect us, it said the caller has hung up.
Oh no, it did the same thing where it did that little beeping noise.
Yeah, I'm over these new phone systems. I you know, at first it was helpful because our calls went from $1.78 to 43 cents. But at this point, it's you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So Petunia says she's been having the same problems with the phone. And Destiny Rose just got on and said, hey, I know Greyhound's son.
All right. What a trip. All right, so where are we at?
I don't even know. Alicia was just saying that her and her husband have the same issues. And I was just saying that you know what I mean? Sometimes when you think that space is the best thing, like for me, it's not. Like I just get and I try to explain this to you, the more space or time you give me, the more pissed off I get. Like, that doesn't help me. That just makes me more mad.
So for you, what is your resolution? If a person tells you they didn't do whatever it is you thought that they were doing, and so what is the resolution? How do you get past that?
So I got that part, babe, but it turned into something else because then we started arguing, and then I cussed, and then you cussed at me, and you called me a name that I'm not going to say on here because you've never done that to me before, and I don't ever want to hear it again. So, like, it went too far. Like, I heard what you said, but then we kept fighting. It kept going. Like, we just kept picking at each other. That's my part that I try to explain to you. Like, I am not saying I'm always right, but I am quick to apologize when I do things wrong. You're not. You get me upset because you'll try to twist things around to say how you're right, but you're not right. And you refuse to acknowledge that sometimes. And it's aggravating.
So, if I may, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So, maybe it's just prison relationship thing, you know? It's hard. But with that, what my husband and I have been very deliberate about, only super recently, okay? Is like, just because we don't agree with what the other person feels, it doesn't make it wrong or right. So if that person feels if I feel my husband is wrong, he has to hear me out. At least he has to give me that respect and hear me out, even if he disagrees with everything that I'm saying. And then vice versa, if he feels I'm wrong and I feel like I'm not wrong at all, because it does happen, then I will do my best to give him my ear before trying to rebuttal, before trying to defend myself, you know? I think that's what comes off as, because I do it to my husband and he's let me know. He says when I do that, it comes off as I'm trying to justify what I did instead of explaining for understanding. So maybe that's what it is a little bit.
I get what you're saying, because me and him have talked about that before, and we've said, you know what I mean? Like, listen to understand me, not listen to respond, right? So we get into that too. But I feel like that's not what this is. You know what I mean? Like, with him, sometimes he'll dig his heels in, and, you know, it might take him a day or two to say, yeah, I was wrong. But it drives me crazy when we're in the midst of it and he expects me to say I'm sorry and acknowledge where I'm wrong, but he refuses to do the same sometimes. I'm not saying all the time. I'm saying sometimes. In this instant, he dug his heels in and he won't say he's wrong, because his little thing is, he says, well, if you punch me in the shoulder and I punch you 10 times in the face and break your face, now I'm the bad guy. Like, stop going so far. Like, I understand you wanting to do that with people in there because you have to protect yourself. That's not what this is. You know what I mean? And when I cussed at him, I didn't call him a name. I did cuss. I have a potty mouth. That's something that I have to work on. And he gets mad when we're fighting and I cuss. I cussed. I did not cuss at him. I didn't like call him a motherfucker or like that. I didn't cuss at him and I didn't call him no names. But in turn, he did. And he justifies that because I said a cuss word while I was talking.
Okay. So I could see, I would be upset too. I ain't even gonna lie. I would, because it's like, you're trying to one up me. Why? Why do you have to go to that level of disrespect?
And I understand, like, he felt like I disrespected him. And you know what I mean? I do cuss a lot, and I know that sometimes it aggravates him. Most of the time, he just leaves me be. But not all the time. And this time was one time. But I understand cussing back. But the part that got me was cussing, was calling me a bad word. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes a difference. If he would have cussed right back, it would have been.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
I called her a bitch. I wasn't right in it. I can't even justify it, so I won't even say it. That's what I did. I did it to one up what she did to me.
Yeah. And it's hard not to in heat of the moment.
I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying I did it to get back what she did to me.
Because
I did. I'm not justifying it. I'm saying this is why I did it. I did it to one up what she did to me. I didn't want to be there in the first place. I told her the truth. I swore on my daughter's life. If I'm lying, my daughter's gonna die a horrible death because I'm such a fucking liar. So I said I didn't lie, but it wasn't enough, and it just kept going on. It was aggravating me. And then she starts yelling and cussing at me too. Then I was just like, that's it. But I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying that's why I did it.
Yeah, like it pushed you.
A long time ago, I asked for this to be done with a long time ago, but we couldn't get there for some reason. So I don't know where we go from here, because I don't know.
Us women, we be stubborn, you know.
It's not even that, dude. Like, I just want it to, like, I guess sometimes my toxic thing is I want to talk about everything. Maybe sometimes I try to talk it to death. You know what I mean? I talk about it till I feel better. I'm not saying that's right either, but that's how I feel. That's how I feel like things are resolved. And I hate when he shuts me down and it's like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to talk about it no more. It's over. To me, I could be wrong, but to me, that's like sweeping fucking shit underneath the rug, and I don't like that. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather have like to where we talk and we both feel better about the situation.
Yeah, I can understand that. So there's this skit. I'll have to find it and send it to you about the way women and men deal with problems, you know? Men by nature, so it shows this woman with a nail in her head, right? And the woman is talking to the man, and he's like, "Well, just take it out." And the woman's like, "No, it hurts right here though, and it's this type of hurt and this and that." Like, he's like, "But just take it out though to solve the problem, right?" So men, and I think that's the perfect example.
Isn't that from the 7 Habits?
Is it? It probably is.
Babe?
What?
Isn't that from the 7 Habits?
What?
Remember the nail in the head? The nail in the head skit?
Yeah.
So
that's what she's talking about.
like
Because he made me watch that too a long time ago. I did like when he was taking that program, dude. That program helped us.
a lot, right? Yeah, same. So I feel like that principle can be applied to this. And a lot of the time for us, we want to be understood for the principle of what we're talking about. And for the man, they're solely focused about the very specific one singular moment. Like, okay, I apologize. That's it, you know? But you want to resolve, because I do it too a whole lot with my husband, and it drives him insane, and we're still trying to figure that out. But I like want to get the whole principle of it discussed and agreed upon. Like, okay, going forward, how are we going to do this? I get you apologize and that part's figured out, but I don't feel it's finished until we have a conclusion as for how to do this again, or we come to this.
Yeah. I think the dumb part about
Sorry,
this
it went out a little bit, but
is that it's not even about me tripping. I mean, it started out about me tripping on the phone calls and stuff, and then it just grew from there. It's not even about that part anymore. Like, shit just kept adding, and it just building off of nothing, basically, and getting worse and worse. So Letty said, we have to compromise. It's better for our life not to fight. I have to say, because it will lead long-term health issues that we may not come back from, affecting our cholesterol, hormones, fight or flight. And then Destiny asked if we've talked to your son. Yes, we have. I mean, I guess this was a good subject because me and my husband are going through it right now. And I think like what people don't understand is like, just because he's in there, we don't have problems. You know what I mean? We don't have everything's sunshine and roses, and it's definitely not that, but it's not always fights either. You know what I mean? Like we don't go through this type of fight. Like when was the last time we fought this, babe? Like this. We have our little picking here and there, but not a big blown out fight the way this one got.
Oh no. Been a minute.
And I definitely don't like it. I don't like when he thinks that I like to fight. You know what I mean? I don't like to fight. I don't like to feel twisted up inside and upset and shit. Like I don't like it.
And then he tries to get her daughter involved to get her upset to side with her and get upset about something that I said. But and you only hear their side of the story. And I'm not saying I'm right again, but I'm saying why there's all these extra people involved in the stuff. And I'm not talking about this right here because we already talked about addressing it for everybody to talk about it. But I'm talking about something that's between she and I, something that she started. She went in and told her daughter's supposed to I'm supposed to back down because her daughter feels disappointed in something. You know what I mean? Like trying to scold me about something. You know what I mean? When I can scold her daughter about a million things about her life that she does wrong. You know what I mean? But she brings this in there like you're adding more fuel to the fire or something. You know what I mean? And that's not right. So how does that cause resolution? How are you going to resolve something by adding more fuel to the fire by bringing more people to the fight? That don't even make no sense.
We were talking about.
Go ahead.
I get that part, but we were talking because I was talking to you, obviously, about me and him fighting, right? And my daughter heard all that, was upset because he called me a bitch, and like, you know what I mean? It's not like I sat there like saying, "Hey, Savannah, come and listen to this," and you know, we're going through this. I called you to talk to you because I know you go through ups and downs as me and my husband do. You know what I mean? And it's hard for us from our side. We were talking about that because we were going to talk about that on here, right? My daughter heard all that, and yes, she's upset because who wants to hear that their mom's husband's calling them a bitch? You know what I mean? Who wants to hear that? So Savannah did get on there and tell him something. And I cut it off after a minute because I knew he was getting upset. But what's wrong is wrong, dude. Like that was, when did she tell you anything else? But she even
talking about you bringing more people to it to add fuel to the fire. We'll use another example, the Facebook thing. You brought your child involved in that when she has nothing to do with any of that. To get involved in my business that's got nothing to do with your child.
Your son did it too.
It's got nothing to do with your child.
Your son did it too. So why are you just saying Savannah?
But I'm talking about what you involved them into. That's what I'm talking about. Adding fuel to the fire for something. It doesn't matter who did what and what. One, it's not my son's or your daughter's business. Period. That's what I'm explaining. If there's an issue between us, the resolution is supposed to be between us, not go adding somebody in here to take somebody's side and stuff like that. Because I can go tell my son all my side and turn him against you, just like you can do your daughter against me. You know what I mean? I mean, we can do tit for tat.
First of all,
it doesn't get us nowhere.
I'm not even gonna go there.
So, hold on. So my input is, don't make it worse, guys. But my input is that when she sometimes, maybe the kids aren't the best to go to, but she doesn't always have somebody else to go to. So she doesn't do it necessarily to, like bring it to the fight, be on my side too. It's to get different input, like different perspectives sometimes. Because I know I do that with her a lot. But with kids, they're invested in a different way, right? So they bring a different type of emotion. So it's hard.
Toxic. When you bring the kids into it, that makes it more toxic, and it causes more problems and deeper problems that shouldn't even be there. That shouldn't cause them to be in there. I get well. That's when if that's what you claim you have left to talk to. You know what I mean? But then that should become like a family discussion. Well, let's now get around the table and let's all discuss it together, not a one-sided thing where I can influence the one person over the next person, because then we might as well get our daughter involved in it, and then get my son involved in it, and then get her son involved in it, and let's all talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see both sides. I get her intentions, but I get what it turns into sometimes. And I imagine anyways, I imagine you feel like, well, gee, everybody's against me now, like you're feeling attacked. So you automatically put your defenses up.
But she even told him, like, I get that mom can be that. You know what I mean? Mom can act like that. Basically saying I can be a bitch, I can act like a bitch, but it's not okay to call me a bitch. You know what I mean? And she even said that to him. But where he got mad is that he didn't want her saying nothing to him at all. You know what I mean? And you can, I don't know. Just like if I did something wrong to him and his son heard about it, I'm sure his son would have said something to me too. Like, that's just the way the kids are. They feel like they have to protect you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that is going to always be the instinct of either of your kids. So I guess maybe it's best not to bring them unless you guys both agree on it, I guess.
And I think that's what he's trying to get at. And I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. I got upset with her for, saying anything to him. She loves him at the end of the day, though. So it's not like she doesn't love him or she's trying to be hateful towards him. She was just trying to say something to him about saying that. But I understand that too. I understand how he feels. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can definitely agree with that. Because she's always, anytime I've been around, she always speaks good of him.
She loves him, and he knows that. Like, that shouldn't even be a question in his head because he knows that.
Do I?
Do you? You don't?
You better.
Thank you for using Securus. Goodbye.
Anyways, my nephew said I've been at boiling points with the what I call unwanted confirmation or a fight, and say similar stuff like he says. I'm done with this. It's over with. Next moment, please. I don't know what Destiny's saying period to, but she said period. Yeah, I get that, nephew, and I think that's the difference between women and men is like you guys don't want to deal with it. To me, it feels like you don't want to deal with it, so you'd rather just, and again, I keep using this phrase because that's how it feels to me, is like to push it under the rug. You know what I mean? And that's not good in any relationship, whether you're friends or you're with a spouse or anything. You know what I mean? Like, if you have an issue, confront it, talk about it, deal with it, and move on.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that because normally, like you and I were talking about earlier, it's hard for me too to give space sometimes. So unless that's established prior, like that's something you got to talk about when you guys are good in preparations for when arguments do happen. Because if that's not established and you give me space, I will feel some type of way too. In the moment, like once an argument comes up and you do ignore me and we didn't establish that we're going to take a minute, then yeah, that's the wrong answer, and it's gonna be fuel to the fire.
And
So that I understand.
for some reason, obviously, I don't think they understand that. Like it almost feels like they feel like we're attacking them because of that. You know what I mean?
100%, because that is a consistent struggle for me to get my husband to understand too. You know, like we've gotten better, but it's still not perfect. It literally is. It's like we have to reset every time, you know, whether it's like a minor, whatever, normal argument or whether it's a big one. And, you know, thankfully those are more rare, but still, it's
That's
like,
this one he keeps going back to the fact that I was accusing him earlier or whatever. But like we resolved that part of it. I can't even remember how it got out of hand. Like it like that started it. Okay, that started the fight, but then it just kept snowballing, if you will, and it started getting worse. And it started, you know what I mean? Like it just went from there, but it was no longer about him not calling. Like it was just getting worse. And then when he starts the whole, you know, because we've talked about this before, when he tells me quota, like I hate that. I hate
yeah,
quota, because then it feels like, and I try to explain that to him too, like it feels like it's an obligation. Like I don't want you to ever feel like you're obligated to do shit for me. If you don't want to do it, then don't do it. You know what I mean? Don't be like,
yeah,
you have to do this. You don't got to do shit.
yeah. And I will say with that, they say that, but it's like, if I want to be with you, this is what I have to do. That's what they mean. That's not at all how they act or how they say it. But that's my assumption that your husband means the same thing because they're similar. Our husbands are very similar. So that's how he means it, because that has also been a conversation, you know, like it's not necessarily an obligation, but like this is what I got to do if we're gonna figure this out somehow, you know. But yes, they say it like when they're mad, so we don't feel the heart in it, you know, the feeling, the emotion from it. Like, hey, I do want to fix this. For us, it's about how you say it, not what they say. So when they say it a certain type of way, we're gonna interpret it in that, I won't even say aggressive, but in that angry tone, right? Their upset tone.
Yeah.
We're just registering the attitude,
Yeah.
not the heart behind that in the moment.
I think I know I know where I'm wrong. I know what I'm doing wrong, and I try to explain that to him. But it shouldn't always feel like I have to always say, "Oh, I'm wrong. I'm wrong." Where are you wrong at in the situation? You know what I mean? Why is it always that I have to be the one to admit when I'm wrong and apologize? But it's like pulling teeth when you're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that comes from them being on the defense. Sometimes I think that that comes from them being in the environment they're in, and they don't know how to always switch that off all the way with us. Like if anybody else, if they get into it, or even a tense conversation, disagreement, whatever, not even an argument, because they don't do that with anybody else, you know, they won't put up with that, but just a simple disagreement with somebody else, they're super on the defensive. So they have to find a way to better flip that switch for us to know that, like, hey, we're not just one of the other guys in there, or we're not the CEOs in there, you know. I do think that doesn't count for all of it. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't. But for that factors in a little bit for how they do react. And I try to be understanding of that, but it is hard in the moment. Because I could say that now, but when I'm arguing with my husband, shoot, it's another story, you know?
This is the thing that gets me though, dude, is like, why, like, we have to be the ones to compromise all the time. We have to be the ones to recognize they're going through hard shit because they're in there. Where do we factor in? You know what I mean? Like,
we are the superior beings as women. That's what happens. No, I'm just kidding. But no, in serious talk, I hear what you're saying. It's
expected from us, you know what I'm saying? But it's not expected from them. And my whole thing with him is he's always, everything has to be fair. Like, you know, if that's what you're expecting from me, then that's what you should be giving me as well.
Yeah. Yeah, equal, give and take, reciprocation.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't like. I never wanted to get on here and be like, we fight like this. You know what I mean? But it's the reality of shit. Like I'm tired of seeing everybody making it seem like relationships in general are easy. They're not. Prison relationships, I think, are even worse. Are not worse, but harder because we get these 20-minute calls in between here and there. You know what I mean? Like we got to fight in 20-minute increments, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we
If-
don't. Go ahead.
or we can go have our 5-hour fight visit for Saturday or whatever.
Yeah, we don't get the whole day. We don't get to be in person, face to face. Honey, I'm sorry, holding your hand, and that brings the walls down. We're over the phone, and we can't interpret each other's nonverbal cues. We can't at the end of the day. So we just go with. It's human nature sometimes to go with the worst. Interpreting it the worst way.
Yeah, I think like you're saying, it's a go-to, like it's our reaction, if you will, to do it that way.
Yeah, and it's hard to break that.
My nephew said if that's what started the fight, the confrontation vibes must have been there from one or the other or both after the first resolution was reached. Inevitably, someone's going to reach a boiling point. So that's what I was trying to say, nephew. And he got mad when he was saying, well, if you said it was resolved this morning, but then it wasn't resolved, you're a liar. Like that's his biggest things. Like I hate when he says when he says you're a liar or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But it's like something was lingering still. Like, yes, we had an argument last night. We resolved it this morning. You know what I mean? But it was like it shouldn't have had to. I guess maybe it's my fault because I still feel like it shouldn't have had to go as far as it went. Like I feel like I can't ask him questions sometimes because he gets upset, and I don't. He asks me questions all the time. I don't get upset. I don't act like a fool. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he did, but come on, dude.
Yeah.
Andreas,
Sometimes.
hey Naomi, how are you on Greyhound? I was trying to tell Gerard to take Natalie. So I don't know. I waited for him to message me back. He didn't message me back, so I was already out of Arizona. So I don't know. But yeah, sorry, Alicia.
You're fine. I wasn't trying to hurt you. Go. Sorry, I'm with my nephews right now. But what were we saying?
About fighting. But like my nephew, what he was saying too, like he like we did resolve our I can't even right now. I'm so mad. Like I can't even remember what we were fighting about. You know what I mean? Like, do you ever get like that?
Yeah, you don't even remember totally the starting point. You just know how it ended.
Yeah, like how
or the breaking point, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, if you will. So it's like he's like, what were we fighting about? And I'm like sitting here pissed off trying to think like what was the fight? But then I'm like so mad, dude. My brain's just like at a blank right now.
Yeah, it's like that sometimes. I think overall he needs to, and maybe I'm biased. I try my best not to be, for this situation to evaluate it fairly, but I think he needs to, validate your feelings. I'm sorry I did make you feel that way. And I'm sorry I did this to make you feel that way. He doesn't get to decide if your feelings are valid or not. Like they are. Everybody has a right to their feelings, period,
Yeah.
And then he can be like, this is why I did this, and I understand why it made you feel that way or whatever. And then vice versa.
Yeah, and I get that part. Like, I feel like this episode turned into a Dr. Phil episode. Like, at the end of the day,
but it's
like,
reality.
Like, I do love my husband with everything that I am, but sometimes we get into these things like we're like anybody else, you know what I mean? And I hate like I don't want to say because this is YouTube live, but like in person, you know, when you're with somebody, like I'm the type of person where I don't want everybody to know that we have problems. You know what I mean? But in reality, everybody goes through shit. Like nobody's relationship is like all perfect all the time and stress free. You know what I mean? I can't talk right now.
Yeah, and
I
that's
mean,
reality. No matter how healthy and perfect it is, no matter how good of a relationship it is, there's still disagreements or arguments. Like, again, nobody's perfect and no relationship is perfect. That's just totally unrealistic.
yeah. So I seen some girls going at it on TikTok, dude. I need to stay off TikTok. But they were going back and forth because one girl had posted that her and her incarcerated husband have like this magical fairy tale life and everything's perfect and she's never stressed out. She never has problems. He just brings her nothing but happiness and joy and lollipops, right? And so one of the other girls was like, she was like kind of making fun of her, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, so you're the only prison wife that doesn't have any issues. The rest of us have issues. And it's like, somewhere in between that, if you will, because me and my husband have issues, you know what I mean? But we're not constantly fighting.
Yeah. I
So,
think, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
For me, like, and maybe if that's how she feels and that's how she feels, even with the problems, maybe people feel that way. Like, we even argue okay. Maybe that's what she means. But to me, if you genuinely don't argue or anything, or maybe not even argue, like if you have disagreements, or if you have not even a disagreement in a relationship, to me, that means you guys are just not caring. You're not invested.
Exactly. That's how I feel. I'm glad you put it that way. Because it's like, and you see that a lot saying a lot. Like when a woman stops arguing with you or when she stops talking to you or caring what's going on, then that means she's done with you. You know what I mean? It's not saying
Mm-hmm.
you got to be nagging your dude all the time and bitching at him constantly. That's not what I'm saying. But I've been in a marriage where I was like that. Like I was just fucking checked out. I was done. Like I didn't even have the, I don't know how to say it, the want to fight with him anymore. It was just like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm over this shit. Like I don't even care to fucking argue with you. Do what you're gonna do. Like I don't care.
Yeah, like complacent, like, okay, to like everything. It's because, yeah, you're not invested, your heart's not in it. And I'm not saying, like you explained too, it's not like you have to be toxic or extra or arguing all the time. No, by no means. But there's gonna be things that you guys don't agree on that's gonna matter to you and not him, or vice versa, like. And if you're not invested in that manner, like maybe you should reevaluate the relationship. Because if you're not going to give that passion and that genuine care and love to your person, like, well, maybe there's somebody better else out there for you and for your person, honestly.
Mhm.
That's going to give that fight, that care, that, again, that passion. I don't know how else to explain it, just that love, that deep, enduring love. I don't know.
And he doesn't understand me when I tell him like, as long as you're in it fighting, I'll be in it fighting. And he gets mad because he's like, what are we fighting for? Why do we gotta fight? And I'm like, I don't know how to explain it to him to make him understand. Like, I don't want to be fighting with him all the time, but when we have problems, like we gotta fight through it together. We gotta work through it together. We both gotta be putting in the effort. That's what I mean by when I say to fight for us. Does that make sense or do I sound crazy?
No, it does. Because I feel the same way. Like, it's maybe fighting is the wrong word for them because they have a different interpretation of fighting. I don't know. But yeah, if you're not going to be putting forth the effort and stuff, like in this relationship and in the fight to come home too, even, because that's a layer that a normal relationship doesn't have, right? That you and I do both have.
Yeah.
So I do get what you mean. I think some of the problems we have are just human nature, the difference between man and woman, and some of them will be forever unsolved.
Right. Brandy said, hi, sorry, I'm watching the Taylor Swift game. What? I'm more important, Brandy.
Hi, Brandy.
Letty said, definitely have to establish doing what is better for us emotionally as goal. When men are upset, they find distractions to get over anger. Reacting in the moment is hard pass. I'd rather just let him be because we both don't know what each other are going through at that certain moment. I have to say it's not an argument, it's a discussion. So usually me and my husband are super good. Like we'll have disagreements or I'll get upset or whatever and we'll talk about it and resolve it that way. But every now and then we'll have these big fights where it starts out little and then it just snowballs, if you will. And we're pretty good at resolving it, but right now like we're in the midst of it, so it's not resolved. You know what I mean? But again, like, I seen that TikTok and it bothered me in some way because uh I don't know any relationship that's perfect. You know what I mean? I don't know any relationship where they don't argue or it's just rose petals and candy canes all day. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know any relationship that's like that. People have arguments. People get upset. People are going through different things. I don't know what my husband's going through today. I don't know what happened in there that made him feel some type of way. So when we had an argument, it's worse. He don't know what's going on with me out here to make me get upset and act crazy. You know what I mean? Like if we don't talk about that thing, if we don't talk about those things, then we don't know what's going on. And that can also add fuel to the fight. You know what I mean? Like you said, he's going through, I don't know what he's going through. So he's probably taking some of that out on me. He doesn't know what I'm going through right now. So I'm probably taking some of that out on him.
Huh. I agree with that. And that's something I was just going to say too. Ever since this different, like you said, it's been quite a bit since you guys have had like the actual like significant fight, right?
Yeah.
So maybe this different environment now with this new place, that's a factor. It changes his mood and stuff, like subconsciously, like maybe he doesn't even know it or realize it, and
Yeah.
that changes the way he does interact with you because his day to day in there that has nothing to do with you ultimately is like displeasing to him or uncomfortable or whatever it might be, and that energy is brought to you because I don't know, because one, you're his safe space, and sometimes they do lash out at us because we are their safe space.
Yeah.
But two, also just because that's out of his control, he probably maybe some of it he doesn't even realize how it's affecting him.
I think too because we've been kind of at like I don't know, dude. It could be just me, but I've been feeling some type of way lately. But I've been stressed to the max. And you know what I mean? Like my husband's the one that gets to hear because I've been training for the last 6 weeks. I've been training, plus I worked that second job. I got a lot of shit going on. And I told him the other day, like, I feel like he's pulling away from me in a sense because I'm constantly a ball of stress. Like I'm constantly stressed out and crying and acting crazy, dude, because training takes so much out of me. Like our I went out of state for a couple weeks. It's just right now it's a mess, right? So it's frustrating to me. Like I'm so mentally overwhelmed and exhausted and frustrated with it. I can tell that it's affecting him too. And it's been like this for 6 weeks. I'm done with it now, but it's like I was kind of seeing it throughout that. You know what I mean? Like all my stressed out frustration, like I feel like he's trying to carry it for me, but it's too much for him too.
Yeah, like you guys are both going through something. That's ultimately what it is. And at least for me, and you probably can relate because we just want to fix everything and be everything for our husbands,
Yeah.
But when we're going through something, like, yeah, we want them to be there. But when they're going through something too, whether we like speak on it or not, or whether they speak on it to us or not, like we want to fix it. But some of these things we can't for each other, right? So that's another deeper layer that we both sometimes we realize it and speak on it, or sometimes we don't because it's just such the norm that we can't be there for our spouse the way a normal relationship would be. He can't be here for you and help you with things when you're stressed and you have a lot more on your load, and you can't be there for him to change his environment. So that feeling of, I won't say not being enough, but not being able to provide for your person like you wish you could is yet another layer.
Yeah, and I get that too, because I feel like sometimes, well, he's even said that, like he wishes he was here just to hold me or hug me when I'm going through the shit that I'm going through.
Yeah,
I get
exactly.
that to be frustrating for him too. I think sometimes we both though, like I hate it just being on our end. Like they gotta understand too, like they need to stop and think about what they're doing and what they're saying and who they're saying it to, as well as us, right? We have to do the same. So sometimes I'll get crazy and I just lash out. And I don't, you know what I mean? Like that's why I keep saying, like, I get in my feelings. When I get in my feelings and I'm upset, I know that that's the worst thing for me because I can't pull myself out of that. It takes me a while. And then, you know, in the moment, I do crazy stuff, right? Like, I got into a fight with somebody and it wasn't even a fight. I just went off on them because I noticed some stuff had happened. So I like texted them and went off. And then I said some pretty shitty stuff, you know what I mean? Ready to fight and everything. And then I told him what happened. And he was like, you need to stop and think. And like an hour or two later, when I finally talked to my husband about it, I wasn't feeling the same way I was feeling in that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Who's in the doghouse? Why?
I was telling him, I said, just so you know, don't be asking me nothing tomorrow. I said, I can't come out and play. I'm on punishment.
Nobody. Listen, I love you to death, but the thing is that I tell you, like, I don't care that you want to hang out and do shit with people, but say something. You want me to tell you what I'm doing so you know, but you don't do that for me.
It just happened. It's not like it was a scheduled plan things. Like, it was so you want to get out there, like, all right. So I thought it was going to be like one, and then all of a sudden, I'm up, I'm behind, I'm up, I'm behind, and bam, and then it just, before I know it, I messed up or something.
I don't want you to say you're sorry just because you don't know why you're saying you're sorry, just to say you're sorry or that you messed up. Like, I want you to actually know what's going on.
Oh my God, here's the quiz.
It's not the quiz. I'm just your son and Andrea are on with us, babe.
What?
Your son and Andrea are on with us.
But look how you guys come back around and joke and laugh and be all lovey.
About fighting.
We're talking about fighting. Brandy said, anytime there is a change in anything, we experience the same thing. You may feel like he's pulling away because he feels that from you unintentionally.
Yeah.
Don't agree with Brandy because you want to agree.
That makes sense.
Whatever. He's trying to get you to be on his side, Brandy. That's why he's saying that.
Make it make sense, like he says.
Andrea. Yeah, he felt like we were ganging up on him, Brandy. So you jump on. So now he's trying to get you over to his side.
Just buttering you up.
You got to remember, babe, it's girl power. You said it earlier.
I know how it is. That's why I said, you're right, I'm wrong. I love you.
And Alicia is on here, so you already know you're in trouble.
Triple threat. No, I'm just kidding.
Buckle up, Buttercup. So
I was wrong.
Andrea said, hey, Dad, we love and miss you.
With my granddaughter.
So she said that too. She asked when I'm coming back. I was in Phoenix but she would have gave me Natalie and they could have just sent me their stuff. But I told her, Gerard texted me after I was already gone, after I had already left Phoenix.
Oh
No.
my gosh. Alright, so what is the resolution? So we talked about the problem, but what is the resolution? Since my part wasn't a resolution, what is the resolution you want?
So the part that I'm upset about, and Brownie said I'm Team Naomi till the end, bro. Thank you, I love you. So my thing, where I was upset was the whole bitch thing. Like anything else outside of that, our fight started out something little, and it wasn't even about what it started at. It evolved into something else. That whole part where you called me a bitch and you wouldn't say that you were wrong or apologize for it is where I just lost my shit. Like,
I did say I was
you
wrong.
Not to me, babe. You did not to me.
No, actually, I did it. I did say I was wrong, and I did try to justify why I said it. You're right.
Okay. So that's the only part that I'm upset about. I mean, we have our problems, we have our arguments and shit.
And I'm not making an excuse for it, but I'm saying when I tried to resolve the issue before it even went there, you would not let me.
Okay.
You kept poking me.
And I know that there's things that I do that's not right. That's probably one of them. But
I'm saying, how do we resolve something if you're not willing to allow it to be resolved, and then it festers into something more negative?
But babe, you didn't want to. All you said was it's done. Okay, what's done? Like, you can't just say it's done and I need to just shut up and go with it's
you
done.
Said what you said. I said what I said, and that was a wrap.
But you weren't. Oh, okay.
Since we have the public here, right? We have the
and my
how
friends.
many times do I lie to you?
You don't lie to me.
Since you've known me, how many times do I lie to you?
Never.
How many times do I give you a reason because I lie to you so much that you can't trust me?
You don't.
Huh?
You don't. You don't give me a reason. You've never given me a reason.
So when I tell you, and you don't believe me, and then I swear on the life of our child that I'm not lying, even though apparently my word isn't enough since I'm a liar, then where do we go from there? Because I don't get it.
But do you see where you're stuck at? I wasn't even tripping on that anymore. We laughed that off and we went, but we kept going and it turned into something else is what I'm telling you.
No,
I don't care about that.
I wanted to leave it alone. I wanted to walk away from it, and you wouldn't let me do it.
Okay.
So I'm saying when we're in that space, how do we come out of that space? How do we resolve something from that space right there? And I'm not talking about this particular subject. I'm just talking about in general. If we're in that spot where you don't want to let it go, when I want to just leave it alone, okay, I'm done. Because what I keep telling you, I see you keep kicking the scab. You keep going at it over and over. We already talked about it. It's done. Let's go. Let's go forward. You want to keep going back at it. I don't want to keep going back at it. And then I get angry. You get angry. Then it starts turning into this and this and this. And then now it's something totally different from what it was. But it still started from that when it could have stopped right there. So I'm saying, how does it stop? How do we get it to stop and resolve?
I don't know. Do you have any suggestions, Alicia?
Huh?
I'm asking.
I mean,
oh, and you're cutting out too, so don't get frustrated with me when I say, what?
Just so you know. Oh, I'll tell you later. Go ahead, Alicia.
I would say it's, both of you have your part. As far as Naomi, you just sometimes, like we were talking about earlier, sometimes we do just have to let it go. As much as we hate that. But I will say for your husband, like, just even if you don't feel, if you don't understand what she's feeling, like, just because, how do I say it? How did I say it earlier? Oh gosh.
I think maybe we both need to learn how to just give each other a minute. But and that's something I have to work on, because when you give me too much of a minute, I'm gonna wig out. I'm just being honest. I can sit here and lie. I can sit here and be like, oh, just give me an hour and everything will be fine. And then you fuck around and give me 2 hours, and then by then I already done lost my mind. So I'm being honest. I'm not saying that I'm right, but that's how I feel.
Okay, then, but how do we make that work in this situation where sometimes I don't have the luxury of time? I can't just pull out time out of my ass. That's like I can't just hop on the phone if I want to.
I don't know, babe. I think this
What
is.
What if I try to call you within an hour and I could only get through to you in 2 hours, and now you're upset, you're livid, and you want to tear me a new asshole. So what happens then?
So I got to work on that, I guess.
Compromise there, yeah.
And I try to tell you that, like, I think I've done better from where we begun, because I used to flip out all the time over stuff. But I think, like, there's certain triggers that you do too that would help for you not to do it. Because when you start with this quota bullshit, like, that drives me insane, and you know it. Because I always tell you, like, I don't ever want you to be with me because you feel obligated. Don't feel obligated to call me. Call me because you want to call me. You call me every other day, all night. But then when you stop doing it, you're big on that. You're big on consistency. But when it's to you, when you're being inconsistent, then it's not a problem. I should just shut up. You know what I'm saying? And that's annoying. That's frustrating to me.
So, in the future, if you guys can agree now, one thing is, hey, I'm getting heated. I do need a minute. But both of you have to respect that from each other. Don't use it as a weapon to each other either, though, just to, like, get away from it, you know?
Yeah, babe. I'm going to read some of these comments because there's a lot. So Andrea said, when do you come back so you can come get her? I don't know because I was tapped on money when I went this last time. So we'll have to talk about that later. Letty says, I'm family, so I got insight to this alpha trait. Who's Letty, babe?
Who?
Letty? Well, I mean, it might just be their screen name, but it says Letty Ram. It says, I'm family, so I got insight to this alpha trait. Then little Gerard said, where did you get that puppy? I got it from Petunia. That's why we were in Arizona. That, and I had to do some stuff for your dad. Bay Area's finest, welcome to the Bay, said, Greyhound, you ever talk to the homies in AZ still?
Yeah.
Of course he does. Brandy, when we are at that point, we hang up and talk later. Give us some time to reconnect when your headspace is a little more clear. So that's my problem, though, Brandy. That's why I keep saying it. Like, I can take a little bit of space, but I can't take a lot, because if you give me too much, I'm going to start thinking crazy. And I'm not saying I'm right. That's something that I have to work on, but I know that about myself. So I tell him that. Like, if you fuck around and give me too much space, when you get back to me, it's going to be to another level that it shouldn't have went. Because then I'm going to be thinking crazy. Like today, that was crazy. Like I was trying to put pieces together that weren't there. And I think that's where he gets frustrated with me, because like he said, he's never lied to me. And I can honest to God say that he's never lied to me. You know what I mean? He doesn't give me a reason to trip on him the way I do. I think for me, that's past trauma stuff that he has to deal with. That's not fair.
Yeah, I don't like
Andrea said, check the comments about your grandbabies. I got to go back. Letty said, be mindful of each other. We don't know how long we got here. You got a palm tree. Yeah, I got Petunia. It's my daughter's. That's why we were out there. Let me go back into the comments. Oh, Andrea said, Mariah's walking a little bit now, and Natalie's big. She was happy to go, but next time. Like, I wish you guys would have messaged me because I would have went and bought my own car seat and took her.
Well,
But we had to be gone Friday. Like, I couldn't wait around.
I think you guys are gonna be okay. I love you both. I'm gonna chill with my nephews a bit before they gotta go to bed.
All right. I love you too. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for inviting me to Dr. Field.
The doctor.
Thank
you, Dr. Felicia.
Good night, guys.
I appreciate it. And thank you, Brandy.
I don't like getting on here and fighting like that. I mean, but that's what I was saying, baby. It's the reality of stuff.
Well, it's reality. This is real life. That's what married lifers is.
I get it, but who wants to?
It's real life.
I was explaining.
We don't do this shit for fun.
I was explaining, like, normally around my family, like just around anybody, I don't like for people to know what's going on, whether it be good or bad in my relationship or my family. You know what I mean? Like, I keep that shit private. So for me to be on here talking about like the problems we have is a little uncomfortable for me, if you will.
You know what I think.
What do you think?
I don't give a fuck what nobody thinks.
You're so rude all the time.
So that's just me, though.
I don't know.
Make it make sense.
You make it make sense.
So, are we resolved?
Yes. You know why we're resolved, though?
Why?
Because you admitted what you said was wrong, and you apologized. You didn't do that. That's why it kept going.
I did. No, I didn't. You're right.
You didn't.
And I'm wrong. I'm sorry. It's because I was going places.
But that can't always be your excuse either, babe.
Oh, but hold on. So, have you ever knocked something over and like you're kind of like able to reach out and try to like grab it and stop it from falling, but instead you just kind of like watch it fall like in slow motion?
Yeah.
So like that's the thing with me. So I know it's wrong. I know it's gonna hurt two ways, but I can't stop. I push the knife in, bam. I start twisting it, then the handle breaks and it cuts my hand, and it keeps going. I just can't stop. I'm just like, dang.
Okay, that makes sense, but I'm like that's why I get mad at you, or I get upset with you, and I'm like, you have to realize who you're doing that to.
But it just happens. I don't like it to happen, so I try to avoid it as much as possible.
Okay, but I mean, we could do this butt back and forth all night.
That's like the Incredible Hulk. He tries to avoid becoming the Hulk because the Hulk is destructive.
Okay, but that can't be your excuse forever. That's what I'm saying. Like, we're going to have problems. We have to be able to work through them together. You can't just say, that's the way I am because I'm in prison and I deal with the COs and the inmates that this way. I'm not that. I'm not those people. So it's not fair for you to treat me like I am, even when you're upset.
Okay. And with that said to me, same thing with me. Past trauma. I'm not your past trauma. I'm not those people, so don't treat me like those people.
And I get it. I see how you get. Do you see what I'm talking about? Like, you try to justify shit. Just say you're wrong and move on. Like, why do you have to do that?
No,
Like,
but
you
I'm
see where
saying,
you're
I'm
wrong,
making
but
a
you
point.
gotta no,
It
because
works
you.
both ways, though. It works both ways.
But
It can't
babe,
work one way for you when everything's right, and then be wrong for me when I show you the same thing that you're doing.
oh my God, babe, hold on. Come here, you little shit. Savannah's dog got out of her little playpen. I don't know how she got out or how he got out. He was all of a sudden missing in action. I'm a bad babysitter.
So it's Savannah finds out.
He freaks me out. Well, I found him. Andrea said, damn, his son just like him. I hate it. Bay Area's finest
You
said,
have 1 minute left.
Greyhound tells us a nice DVP story.
The what?
They said, Greyhound, tell us a nice DVP story.
The best I got is when my dad bought me a kite. It was a bumblebee kite, and it was like the best day of my life. And I was walking through the projects, and everybody, all the kids, everybody was like looking at me and stuff, and I was all happy, showing off like, this is my dad right here, this is my dad. And he took me to the park, Edison Park right there to go fly my kite. That's the best DVP story ever.
Mm. Mm. Do you know who this Bay Area's finest is?
Huh?
Do you know who Bay Area's finest is?
No.
I'm
Thank
thinking
you for
Smokey.
using Securus. Goodbye.
Am I right? Smokey, is that you? Okay, hopefully you can call right back. That was a good one. Him and his bumblebee kite. No, not at all. Okay. So I don't know, guys. I just don't like fighting with my husband at all. But I mean, again, like I said before, it's the reality of any kind of relationship and a life. You know what I mean? And whether they're in prison or they're out, like, we have issues, and I keep saying that. They shouldn't get as crazy as ours just got, but I mean, they do. They, you know what I mean? I've seen some of my friends have problems. You know, they could always be worse. Like, obviously, used to always say, be grateful for the problems that you have. Like, I would rather have these problems with my husband than other problems. You know what I mean? If you think about it that way.
I love Red Heart.
So Brownie said, well, I'll wait till my husband's on. Dude, these recordings are long now. They're ridiculous.
Station now.
Okay, babe. So Brandy said, so one thing I have had to realize is my man doesn't deserve to be treated the way I treat him because of what other people have done to me. And I get that, Brandy. Like, my husband will call me out on it sometimes, and be like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't do that to you. And he's big on that. Like, I've never given you reason to not trust me. I've never lied to you. I've never cheated on you. I've never done anything. So it's not fair that he's treated, that he gets accused sometimes the way because at the beginning of our relationship, of the second go round, like, it was bad. And he definitely doesn't deserve that. And I know I'm wrong for that. But this is the thing that gets me with him, is I'll admit it right away. I'm not saying I'm right for still doing it. You know what I mean? I'll admit it right away and apologize, but he won't.
Yeah.
It's taken a lot of work on my end to mature in how I handle disagreements and arguments. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, when we first started the second go round, like at the beginning, I didn't think if I look back at it now, I don't think we would have made it as far as we did because it was super bad and toxic at the beginning. And I'll take responsibility for that. Like a lot of that was my fault. A lot of that was stuff from issues that I was going through before him and I got back together. And Letty said, my tia Maria lived there and loved her canaries.
What?
That Letty, she said, my tia Maria lived there, so I'm guessing Dupavilla, and loved her canaries.
Okay.
And then Bay Area's finest, I asked if that was smoking. He said no. But he said that was a good one. I'm guessing the story you were talking about. Then he said, man, what do you think of those women that are serial inmate daters?
The women what?
That are serial inmate daters. So we talked about that. Like inmate, we had one that was an inmate. They were calling her an inmate hopper. Where she was going from inmate to inmate. And then there was one where
a prison rat?
A prison rat? Is that what they're called, baby?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess.
You know, like a hood rat, but a prison rat?
Yeah. And vice versa, Brandy said. Yeah. Me and him talk about that a lot. Like, it's crazy. It was crazy at the beginning. Even some guys that he was with in Lyman would tell him, like, why are you guys even together? Like, all you guys do is fucking fight. And we did. Like, that's all we did. Like, we had to get to a better space. Like, where we're at now is good. But at the same time, like, it's not perfect. I don't think any relationship would ever be perfect. Everybody's going to have their moments, have their fights, have other things going on.
Well, you did work on me because I didn't like to talk about certain stuff. So, like, you know, you wore me down, and I finally, like, gave in. Like, all right, here you go, man.
I wore you down.
Here you go.
Whatever.
Happy.
It's because you were closed off like a fucking brick wall, and I had to break all that down. So,
I don't like talking about emotions and stuff. I'm a tough guy. We can't talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know, babe. So for my end, Brandy, it was, you know, past traumas that he had to deal with, and he had to help me fight through to get to a better place. With him, it was me having to fight through the brick wall to get to his heart, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, to get to his feelings and have him be able to talk to me and express what he's feeling. Because I told him that, and I've said this before, we're not a surface level relationship. He's had that with people where it was just on the surface. Oh, you know, I had a good day, blah, blah, blah. And that's never been our relationship. So Bay Area Finest said, does your husband Greyhound have the chance of ever relocating to Arizona? No. Nope. What, baby?
I didn't understand what you said.
So Bay Area's Finest asked, does your husband Greyhound have the chance to ever relocating back to Arizona?
Oh. Got me on terrorist status. They won't let me come home.
So I don't know if you heard that, but no, they'll never let him go back. They have him on what he says is terrorist status. Like, he's considered the same as that, so they won't let him go back home. And anyways, I wouldn't want that. I would probably fight against that, if I'm being honest. Do you want to go back home, babe?
What?
Do you want to go back home if they offered that to you?
There's no place like home.
What?
But I like being near my wife and daughter.
Yeah, Even if you came home, I wouldn't want to go to Arizona. We wouldn't go there. We would relocate somewhere else. Because Arizona is hot as shit. I was just out there the other day and like and I told my husband this, which is funny. Like there was 103 out there. Their 103 degrees is like 130 degrees here. I just couldn't deal with it. Like out there was hot. I definitely can't wear my eyelashes out there. I don't know how any female wears eyelashes out there.
But it was good to see you in my neighborhood.
Was it? Even though there was a crazy guy at Edison Park.
There's always crazy people at Edison Park. That's why it's Edison Park.
It's funny because Edison Park is his park, and I went there. You know, I had a video visit with him and took him there. And there was this guy acting crazy, and I'm thinking I'm okay because it's the middle of the day. You know what I'm saying? It's like 2:00 in the afternoon and shit. Nope. There was a crazy guy out there drunk, harassing people. I'm like, fuck, he got me in the hood. Like the hood.
And no, we didn't see nobody in the hood that claimed to be in the hood.
Yeah.
It was just my lady there. So, just me and my bride. We were there, doing our thing. Nobody else.
Having lunch. And I tagged myself there.
Just saying.
It was nice though. It was nice being out there and eating at the places my husband sent me to and stuff, but it's too damn hot. Like, I don't know how people live out there.
Well, you look nice and crispy. Your tan was nice.
Yeah, I was out there 2 days and came home with the tan.
Yeah.
But it was nice being able to see family and talk to them, spend time and stuff like that too.
And she didn't understand. She claims that it was humid. Arizona doesn't have humidity. We have dry heat.
My hair would beg to differ with you, love.
I'm just saying.
We have
dry heat.
I don't know if it was because we were by that big ass lake, but it was humid in the hallways of the hotel that I was at. My hair
is good for you.
My hair frizzed up like nobody's business.
That's what's up.
So it was nice being out there though, and I got a lot of things taken care of in the couple of days that I was there. I wish I would have been able to bring my granddaughter home with me, but you know how that goes.
There'll be more time in the future.
Hopefully. I definitely won't drive again.
But I'm glad you were there to go represent me.
I like the food out there.
Go to my stomping grounds. It felt like I was there, even though there's so many changes into the city now. Bunch of stuff gone, bunch of stuff rebuilt. That shit's scary.
Is it, babe, or is it better? Because you were talking about some dirt lots, and now there's buildings, and they're building nice houses and stuff.
Yeah, it feels weird to see everything change the way it is now, though, after so long. Because even when I got out back in '98, you know what I mean, things were the same to some degree, you know what I mean? Well, for the most part. And then all the changes that happened since has been a dramatic change. Because for so long, when I was gone out of state, I would watch like the Weather Channel or World News just to see if there's a story about Arizona so I could feel close to home. Then that 1 week that they brought me home before they sent me out, and I'm watching the news, I felt like I was out of state again because nothing looked the same, and I was just like, man, home don't feel like home no more. It looks all different now. And then now the projects are getting tore down. Well, they are tore down, and
There was only 2 rows
nothing
left.
looks the same. It's all different.
Yeah, there was only 2 rows of them left. Remember I was showing you?
Yeah. So it's just where my homie PJ and them lived. That's all that's left was just those projects left. But those are about to get knocked down too.
And they were changing the names of the street. It said something like East Lake Edison dash East Lake or some shit.
That don't even make no sense.
So I don't
There
think
ain't
it
no
was
East Lake in no
necessarily
project.
the street names are changing. It's that what they're calling that area.
That's dumb. That's Via Street right there.
Villa?
Yeah.
Oh my god. So Letty said individually it took me
They're messing it up.
babe. Individually it took many years for me to be open and be honest in a relationship instead of circling issues due to past not having growing up with parents. And so we can overcome from this. The more you trust, it becomes easier path towards successful relationships. I would agree with that.
Who said that?
Letty?
All right. That's true.
That we seen that because that's what we went through. You know what I mean? Like I told him too, like when I feel comfortable or secure in a relationship, like I don't trip the way I was tripping at the beginning of the relationship. You know what I mean? And he didn't deserve that. And I know that. But as we've progressed and he's opened up and we talk about problems, even when we have problems like this and we talk about it and resolve it, even if it takes, other people to talk to us, like, we learn from it and we just keep moving forward. You know what I mean? Like it just helps to build more successful.
For the most part, everything's good, but we do have like little male and female spats like anybody else. But I don't like to fight in general just because how I am. So my parents are toxic, so I learn from the best. So, but I don't like to go there. I don't want to be that. So I try to avoid that. But I do get caught up in things where I do take it too far. I do go overboard, and that's something I have to work on. You know what I mean? But I just don't like to go there. It doesn't matter. I know she gets upset when I say that because of this, that. But I know who I am. I know who I'm not. So I don't want to be that person because that's an ugly part of me. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's the part that's giving me the reputation that I got and allow me to survive all these years in the joints and stuff. But I don't like to be that with anybody that I love because it's an ugly sign. You know what I mean? So I try to avoid that. But we've come a long way with our communication and stuff. We've always communicated. Something I've always liked that about our relationship is that we communicate and talk. But later on, it's matured into where we really like communicate and talk, where we understand and we like listen. I don't just hear, but we listen and stuff. And I've given her the part of me that I never gave to her before. You know what I mean? I gave her like part of me. And I did love her. I do love her. I've been in love with her, but I never gave her like full me. You know what I mean? Gerard, she had most Greyhound. You know what I mean? Now she's got all of Gerard as opposed to just most of Greyhound doing this. You know what I mean? It's like two different people, but she gets all that. She understands. But we work on it. But again, there's times where, like today, where we went to this, and I'm like, well, then I guess we'll let the people decide who's right and wrong. But and I get where I'm wrong, but you know what I mean. It does take time because there was this thing this one saying about love, and it says love takes time, and it's all these different things about love and a relationship, and it just takes time to deal with these things, and we do. Not perfect. I mean, I'm more perfect than most people, but
oh my God, you're definitely not, sir.
But we do it and we make it work.
Mm. You have such the biggest bubblehead ever in life, dude.
What?
You heard me. So what do you think about relationships or people that say that they never have arguments, that their lives are just perfect and their husbands, they're safe? I mean, I always say you're my safe space, right? But their husband doesn't give them no kind of headaches or worry, and everything's just perfect.
And aside from that, aside from the prison stuff, I know we go through our thing where with my prison and gang ties causes issues that my wife has to, work through with me because of the stuff. Because, like she said, it's not her business, but it is her business because I'm her business. So we got to work through those things and deal with those things. And I try to be as straight up with her as much as possible on a need-to-know basis that I can. But we've had issues where we've had to, discuss certain things that she doesn't agree with or maybe not understand or something like that. And I know sometimes it could be a struggle. But before, it's funny because I don't know if I've alluded or how it came about, explaining to her about me, about myself, but because I think it was recently at a visit, I think, where she's like, where I said who I was to her, but she never heard it in that way from me or something. So, like, I don't know, it was kind of odd for me. Like, it just seemed like, I can't say I assume, because, she already does, but not in that way. Like, I don't know, because I really don't talk about certain stuff about myself that pertains to prison and gangs and stuff like that with her. But we had this conversation where she's like, it's like the first time ever when you said, your Greyhound such and such,
You have 1 minute left.
such or something, you know what I mean? And that was like the first time that we really clarified that or something. But it's all about our communication with each other.
Yeah. And it's not always perfect, but we try and we work towards it.
I love you.
I love you. But you said they must be newlyweds.
This is 20 years in the making.
Not us, babe. The couple that I was talking about earlier.
Oh, okay.
Because they were saying that they never fight. Like, her husband is her peace and he never stresses her out. She's never stressed out. She always has the best of everything. He's in prison, mind you. But she never has to worry about him. He's the perfect person. And you know what I mean?
Love you.
I love
Good night,
you.
sweet dreams.
Thank you
Just
for
in case.
using
Just in
Securus.
case.
What time is
Goodbye.
it? So no. So Bay Area's Finest was asking, do Greyhound talk to any of the channels from Arizona on here on YouTube? No. It's just we have ours, this obviously Married Lifers, and then he wants to start his own that talks about like his stories and stuff, which would be called Ron 100 with Greyhound. We're working on that. We got to get all this phone stuff situated because the facility he's at, well, in Colorado, we just switched over to Securus. So the phones aren't the best. I'm surprised it lasted this long. Usually by 8 o'clock our time, the phones he can't hear. They're going in and out. He hears all kinds of weird stuff. So once all that gets settled and stuff, we'll start working on his channel. And then I'll let everybody from here also know about that, especially the people that are from Arizona and you know who my husband is and what he's about and you know what I mean, stuff like that. Obviously, I don't know who you are, but obviously you know that about my husband. You know more than, you know, a lot of people do on here. So unless there's any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and end it for tonight. I don't think my husband's going to be able to call back because they're getting ready to go on lockdown. And I didn't realize we are already on here for 5 hours, Jesus, for almost 2 hours. It said he used to talk with one of them, didn't he? This must have been a couple years back. So yeah, I was on there with him as well. I'm not even going to say what channel it was because yeah, I'm not gonna go there. You know, I'm just we were and this was probably like 2 years ago. But he's not associated with that in any form or fashion. It's this and then it'll be his. So Petunia, did you get a seed, Kilo? Okay, guys. I'm going to go ahead and end it for the night. Thank you so much for joining us. I think we might try to do it on Sundays now because it seems like we're getting, you know, it's a better interaction on Sundays. So yeah, I'm going to talk to my husband and then I'll put that out there. Yeah, I'm not going to elaborate on it. I don't want to bring light to anybody else's. You know, I'm just not going to elaborate on it. It wasn't good. You know, my husband will only be with me on here and he'll be on his own when he gets that up and running. And then we'll just leave it at that. There's no association. There won't be an association. And we'll just leave it at that. Okay. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope to see you next week. I don't know what the subject will be quite yet, but I will put it out and post it on all our social medias. If you're not following us, there's Married Lifers on Facebook, on Instagram, and on TikTok. I'm going to start going live off my TikTok. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. Have a good night. Married Lifers.